It's head-to-head trivia, the second full episode, brought to you by Squared Circle Radio. I am your host, Mr. Podcasting Chris Belcher. The Young Buck, Andy York, is with me as always. Andy, we're playing some WrestleMania trivia tonight. It's March. What else would we be doing?
Exactly. What else is around right now? We're all on the WrestleMania path, heading to WrestleMania, and I honestly can't believe we're here. It feels like we were just at 39, and we blinked, and it's been a year later, and here we are.
We are here, that is for sure. I was watching 39 earlier today because I was there and I was reminiscing. I was like, man, not going to be at 40. It's going to be real hard to not be at 40, but you're right, man. It has flown by, but we are here with your coverage. If this is your first time listening, make sure you follow wherever you find your podcast, subscribe on the YouTube channel. We would appreciate it. Loaded show tonight. As I said, head-to-head trivia. That is our full trivia show. Andy, what we're going to do is we're going to break up the WrestleMania by decades. So over the next 4-ish weeks or so, as we lead up to WrestleMania, we are going to do trivia for all 40 WrestleManias. Maybe we'll include 40. I don't know. We haven't gotten that far yet. But tonight, we're talking WrestleMania 1 through 10. We've got 15, 20-ish questions that Andy's going to throw at me and see what I know about the old WrestleManias, because Andy is the young buck after all, and
I am.
Andy doesn't know a whole lot about the first 10 WrestleManias.
Yeah, I've watched some of them, and I don't know a whole lot about them.
But that's okay. That's no problem, because I'm here to educate you. I'm here to educate all of our listeners on WrestleMania. I don't know everything, but I like to say that I know a little bit. Speaking of that, though, it's WrestleMania season, like I said, coming up WrestleMania week, a full week of content, Andy, just like we always do. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, all of the things. And Andy, we mentioned it last week. We've got some special guests coming. 2 of them are confirmed, and I'm working on a third.
Oh, I don't think I know the third, so I'm very excited about this. It's going to be a fun week. WrestleMania week is our busiest week of the year for the podcast. We normally try to do everything we can the entire week, but it's going to be a lot of fun. This is wrestling's Christmas right now,
yes.
And it's going to be a lot of fun this year, I think.
It's Christmas, New Year's, it's all the things, all wrapped into one. If you are a wrestling fan and you can't get excited about WrestleMania, something is wrong with you, ladies and gentlemen. You might want to check your pulse. All right, let's dive in, man. WrestleMania trivia. So what we're going to do before we get into 1 through 10, I thought we'd play a little game together to get you involved as well, since, again, you're the one handing out the questions here on this episode. We are going to use a quiz app, and no, I'm not going to tell you which one it is, but we're going to use a quiz app. We're going to take the quiz together of WWE WrestleMania main events. Now, we're not naming specifically the main event, but we are naming all the participants of all main events 1 through 39. That includes night 1 and 2 of 37, 38, and 39. So, Andy and I are going to do this together. Andy, we're going to put 5 minutes on the clock to do this. Are you ready?
I am ready.
No, I said I'm just kidding. All right. 5 minutes are on the clock. I don't think it's going to take us all 5 minutes. Let's do this. Andy, I'll throw it to you first. Give me a WrestleMania main event participant.
Well, this will take care of the last 6. Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns is, of course, on there. I'll throw in his Shield brethren, Seth Rollins, as he technically counts in WrestleMania 31 because he cashed in. And 40, that is true, and 40.
We'll throw his counterpart at WrestleMania 40. Cody Rhodes.
All right, Cody Rhodes, of course. Let's go in the Wayback Machine. Let's knock out 5 or 6 right now. Give me Hulk Hogan.
We'll knock out a few more. Give me John Cena.
All right. Knocking out a whole lot here. Mr. WrestleMania, Shawn Michaels.
I guess I'll do The Rock.
Rocky has been in quite a few. His counterpart, the Rattlesnake, Stone Cold Steve Austin, is on the list.
I'll throw a weird one. Only one, but The Miz. Before I forget about him.
That is correct. The Miz. WrestleMania 27. Let's go. I was just looking at the list here. Give me WrestleMania 26. Other main eventer. The Undertaker.
Let's do Triple H.
All right. And then again, another one. If I don't give it now, I'll forget. Triple H's WrestleMania counterpart for 18, Chris Jericho.
I'll do the one because if I don't, I'll forget him. Sid.
He actually had two.
Yeah, he did have two.
Yeah, WrestleMania 8.
Yeah, I already forgot about the other one.
WrestleMania 8, WrestleMania 13. Another oneer. Let's go all the way back to WrestleMania 3, Andre the Giant.
Kevin Owens.
Kevin Owens had 38 and 39.
Did.
Give me the Rated R Superstar Edge.
The Viper, Randy Orton.
Randy Orton had a couple under his belt as well. Speaking of that one he had under his belt, Daniel Bryan.
Batista.
There you go. Well, let's get our Wayback Machine. Give me the Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Sami Zayn.
All right, we have gotten 66 correct. 2.5 minutes to go. King Kong Bundy. That's WrestleMania 2.
Jey Uso.
All right, we'll put Uso in and we'll get Jimmy as well. So we'll knock both of those
Perfect.
guys out there. Give me, I'll stay current, AJ Styles.
Oh, yeah, the Boneyard match did main event. I forgot about that.
Yep.
We'll do Drew McIntyre.
All right, give me his counterpart there, Brock Lesnar, and that'll knock out a couple as well. Just under 2 minutes to go.
Bianca Belair.
All right, her counterpart, Sasha Banks. I'll take that one.
Becky Lynch.
That is correct. I'll let you fill out those other ones. Give me Ted DiBiase.
Charlotte.
All right, and then I will take Bret the Hitman Hart. It's weird we haven't said him yet.
And then Ronda. We'll round that out.
All right, Rousey. Okay, I'm going to go Mr. T.
Have we said Paul Orndorff yet?
We have not Sam Paul Orndorff. And then I'll round out that main event and give me Rowdy Roddy Piper. 10 spots to go, 1 minute.
Did we say Angle yet?
We've not said Kurt Angle. Good call. We have not said Chris Benoit yet. I'll fill that one in.
Oh, yeah.
8 spots left.
I forget what years we have left.
We are looking at 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 2000.
Big Show.
All right. I'll go ahead and work on 11. Lawrence Taylor. 30 seconds. 6 spots to go.
Bam Bam.
That's right. Bigelow. Give me Yokozuna. That'll fill in a few spots. 20 seconds.
Foley.
Foley. Ultimate Warrior. And we got 1 spot left. WrestleMania 7. Who did Hulk Hogan face? Sergeant Slaughter.
Oh, yeah.
All right. We made it with 12 seconds to spare. Look at us. That was a lot of fun. And we didn't miss any of those either. Nobody gave any bad guesses. We got all those right. Love that. All right. Andy, the floor is yours. Let's roll out 5 or 6 questions. And now I've given Andy the liberty to mix up all these questions. We did collaborate on a few of them, but I mix up all the questions. It's not going to be in WrestleMania order unless he decides to make it in WrestleMania order. So the floor is Andy's. Let's see what we can do.
All right. Let's start here. So at WrestleMania 6, okay, this Hall of Famer made his first appearance. Not in the crowd, but driving rhythm and blues to the ring in his pink Cadillac. Who is this superstar?
Diamond Dallas Page. Love it. Yes, he did.
All right. Both Lex Luger and Bret Hart challenged Yoko at WrestleMania 10 for the WWF Championship, and both of those title matches had special guest referees. Can you name both referees?
I can. One would be Mr. Perfect, and the other is Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Okay. We'll do one about your boy Sean. See how well you do with this one. So before he became the headliner, Shawn Michaels opened 3 straight WrestleManias during this time: 7, 8, and 9. Who were his opponents for these WrestleMania openers?
I have to write them down. Okay. 7 was Haku and Barbarian in a tag match. 8 was Tito Santana, and 9 was Tatanka.
Okay. Wow.
Shawn Michaels. We expect.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay away from him. Who came up with the name WrestleMania?
Oh, that was Finkus Maximus, Mr. Howard Finkel.
That is correct. All right.
And do you know the story behind that? Quickly.
I have not actually heard the story.
The story behind that is Howard Finkel was a big Beatles fan. And when the Beatles came to America, it was known as Beatlemania. So he said, why don't we call it WrestleMania?
It makes sense.
There we go.
Very smart. All right. WrestleMania 2 is the only WrestleMania to take place at multiple locations. Can you give me the 3 locations? And in one of the locations, give me the building.
Okay. Chicago was the Rosemont Horizon.
Okay.
LA was the Los Angeles Sports Arena. That's also where WrestleMania 7 was held. Okay. And then New York, it was not Madison Square Garden. I feel like it was like... Was it Nassau, maybe?
It was not.
Oh, then it was... I don't think it was White Plains. Was it Uniondale?
It was Uniondale.
All right.
It was Uniondale.
I'll take that one towards the end.
You only get half a point for that one.
I only get half a point. Okay, I'll take my half a point. It's fine. I'll take my half a point. All right. Fun stuff. That's a few. We'll jump back into that trivia here in just a minute. If you guys are listening on our exclusive partners, if you're listening on SportsWire Radio, thank you so much for doing that. Make sure you throw some love and support over to Tom and the guys over there. Tom is at ThomasBryce2017 on Twitter, and you can listen live, sportswireradio.org. That is SportsWire with a Z. And make sure that when you're tweeting, make sure you use the hashtag #AllWrestlingMatters. It's an exclusive partner of ours, the only partner we got. They treat us the best. They love us. They play our stuff all the time, and we cannot thank them enough for their support. So, one-stop shop for all your sports needs. Go check out SportsWireRadio.org. Andy, we're in WrestleMania season. We talked a little bit about it last week. The picture has become a little bit more clear as the week has gone on. We have had more Hall of Famers added to the list of the 2024 class. Of course, last week we talked about Paul Heyman, and we didn't even mention this, Andy. I mean, maybe we did, and I'm just forgetting. It's in Philly, so it makes sense. But typically, you wouldn't think of Paul Heyman as a headliner for the Hall of Fame class. But do you think they could get away with it in Philly?
Yeah, probably. Because I was thinking about that too. Normally they do the headliner first, I feel like.
Right, most of the time, yeah.
But they may have something up their sleeve to do something different this year, and maybe they do like a co-headliner, sort of.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's in Philly. I don't see why not for Paul Heyman to headline it. I mean, he's done so much for the business, and he's so well known. I don't see why he couldn't be the headliner.
Right. I mean, dude, when Michael Cole was introducing the announcement last week, the way that he set it up and just what he was saying about Heyman and stuff and how much Heyman has helped him behind the scenes and all that is just so cool because I don't want to, harken back to the Vince regime and what they did for commentary versus what commentary is allowed to do now. But you just wonder if Cole would have been allowed to be that personable and that relatable with this moment under a previous regime.
Yeah, probably not. He probably would have just kept it as straightforward as possible and just kind of given the announcement. And I really appreciate that they're giving more detail and mentioning places outside of WWE, acting like wrestling is, kind of a thing everywhere else too.
Sure.
So I really appreciate that. And that, I think it's working out really well for him right now, at least.
It's interesting because they always say, or at least in business, really, it's not really just wrestling, it's business in general. You don't want to acknowledge the competition. If you acknowledge the competition, then you're saying you have some catching up to do. Whereas if you don't acknowledge it, you're the top dog and that's that. WWE lived by that philosophy for so long. So I think they're, like you said, they're trying to find that marriage of acknowledging other businesses. I think back to when Andrade wrestled last week and they talked about CMLL and they talked about his history and all that. Probably wouldn't have happened under a previous regime.
Right.
Paul Heyman was announced. Bull Nakano has been announced, a fantastic female competitor that Sam Roberts is just over the moon that she's going into the Hall of Fame. The U.S. Express, I found this one really interesting. The tag team of Mike Rotunda and Barry Windham, a very interesting pick for the tag team this year. I don't know. Like, Barry Windham is now a two-time Hall of Famer. Mike Rotunda was not in as IRS. For those of you who are unaware, that's the same person. He's not in the Hall of Fame as IRS. Andy, it's just an interesting pick for a tag team.
Yeah. Do they have? I'm trying to think. Do they have would Philly be a reason why they're there?
I don't think so. I could be totally wrong.
Because Queen, when we talked about Queen Charmel at the WrestleMania 38 that we went to, she's from Texas, right? So that kind of, and obviously Booker is too. So that kind of made sense. So I'm just trying to think if they have any Philly connections or anything like that.
Rotunda, maybe. Wyndham, I don't think. I'm not sure. I know they wrestled at the first WrestleMania or whatever. So maybe it's a legacy kind of thing. I don't know for sure.
Probably.
Speaking of legacy kind of thing and first WrestleMania, Muhammad Ali announced as going into the WWE Hall of Fame, a celebrity inductee this year. Very well deserved. He's in WWE 2K24 games, so you may as well put him in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah, the greatest boxer of all time. Why not put him in the WWE Hall of Fame? So I'm all for it.
If Logan Paul's got a first class ticket there one of these days, I'm just kidding, Joe.
At this point, why not?
Why not, I guess. Eventually, Andy, I feel like there has to be a spot or at least a wing in which there's a celebrity crossover wrestler. I know that we have celebrities in there, but the celebrity crossover wrestler, Logan Paul and Bad Bunny, they fit right in.
Pat McAfee.
And Pat McAfee, exactly.
Yeah. I think Stephen Amell too, to be honest with you. He was the first one of when he came in to wrestle, everybody was like, oh no, it's another Snooki situation. And then he got in the ring and was like, oh, he's not that bad. He actually, you can tell he put some effort into this. So
yeah, he for sure did. And then when, you go watch the show Heels, which is canceled now, but is one of my favorite shows. I love that show.
That was awesome. Yeah,
Stephen Amell plays the lead character, Jack Spade, in that show. Man, I wish that show would come back. Anyway, obviously, Hall of Fame is not over yet. Normally it was like they would normally announce inductees on live shows. And now it's just like they're announcing them whenever. So who knows what the number is going to be or, whatever. Big name out there rumored, Andy. Big name, your favorite to go in the Hall of Fame this year, Mr. Bray Wyatt is rumored to potentially go in. I'm sure that that's going to happen. If it doesn't happen this year, sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think it. I mean, to me, it makes the most sense, especially since his dad's already being inducted in as well.
Yep.
And obviously, his name is Wyndham Rotunda, and you can't see the connection there. Then I don't know what to tell you. So I can absolutely see him being put in this year. I agree. I think it's sooner rather than later. And yeah, that's going to be a bittersweet moment whenever that happens.
Talk about a headliner. There you go. There's your headliner right there.
Yeah.
All right, Andy. That's the Hall of Fame. Again, we'll discuss that more as the weeks go on. But let's move back into some WrestleMania trivia. Hit us with about 5 more questions. What do we got?
All right, so we talked about who came up with the name WrestleMania, but what was the original name for the Showcase of the Immortals?
I do know this one too. It was the Colossal Tussle.
Part of me wishes that would have stuck because that's a fantastic pay-per-view.
Isn't it? It's so good. It's so good. Yes.
That is such a good name.
Bruce Pritchard talked about that all the time on his podcast. He even has a shirt that says Colossal Tussle. So, yes.
That's great. That is awesome. So, we all know Andre had a rough history, right? And he had some tough time getting through his match at WrestleMania III against Hogan due to his back problems. WWE had a contingency in place in case he could not go through. Who was his replacement? Or who is rumored to be his replacement?
Wasn't Piper because Piper was a babyface. Bundy was the previous year. It had to have been somebody with Heenan. Who else did Heenan manage in 87? I don't think it would have been Honky Tonk Man. I'm trying to think of the heels that were on that card. Would it have been Savage?
That is not correct.
Oh, I'm going to give myself a big...
I'll give you a hint. He main evented one of the previous 2 WrestleManias.
Okay, the main event of 2 was Hogan Bundy. It wasn't Bundy. Was it Orndorff?
It was.
Okay. All right. All right. Missed that one.
All right. So we all like to talk about the Monday Night Wars and the Wednesday Night Wars and everything else. But the WWF and the NWA were really at war on the cable front during this time. The WWE famously ran the first ever Rumble on free TV the same night that the NWA ran their pay-per-view called Bunkhouse Stampede. On the night of WrestleMania IV, the WWF actually booked the Omni in Atlanta, which is the NWA home arena, to show WrestleMania on a closed circuit. But the NWA aired a live event on free TV that night as well. The first ever Clash of Champions.
Yes, they did.
What was the main event and how and what was the time of the match?
Oh, giving me a layup on that one. It was at the Greensboro Coliseum. It was the Nature Boy Ric Flair going 45 minutes, a time limit draw for the NWA Championship against some up-and-comer named Sting.
Who was never heard of again.
Never heard of again. Just never heard of again. There's a contingency out there that match did not actually go 45 minutes. Just kayfabe it, guys. It went 45 minutes.
Yeah, it went 45.
It's fine.
All right, let's stay on the same track. So, the same war continued through the following year as the NWA decided to run another Clash of Champions event head-to-head with WrestleMania V. On the show, it featured Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, who had been a part of all 4 previous WrestleManias. Now, playing for the other team, who did Steamboat wrestle on that Clash show, which happened to be the second of their famous trilogy of matches in 1989?
Well, Andy, you see, whenever you play trivia and it's old school WCW stuff and you don't know, your default answer is what?
Ric Flair.
So the answer to this question, ladies and gentlemen, is Ric Flair.
That is correct.
No joke. I know it's WrestleMania season, and I know we're all reminiscing about WrestleMania. But if you have time to go back and watch that trilogy of matches in 1989 between Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat, it absolutely holds up to this day. It is so good.
It's one of those where it was ahead of its time.
Yep.
Like it's such a modern style of wrestling that it's so good. I think Ricky had a lot of matches like that were just ahead of their time.
He did.
Just really good.
You had, it was Wrestle War 89 was the finale, and that was in Nashville. The one you're talking about, I think, was in New Orleans. I think New Orleans was the second one. The first one was Chi-Town Rumble. I think that was a Clash of Champions also, but that was in Chicago. 3 just fantastic matches.
Yeah. All right, so we know WrestleMania is all about streaks sometime. And we know the greatest streak of all time is Michael Cole at 1-0 of WrestleMania. But
how much did he pay you to say that?
That's undisclosed. So another undefeated streak came to the end during this window of WrestleManias, that being of the Ultimate Warrior. Now, he lost at WrestleMania V in an Intercontinental Championship match. Who beat Warrior?
The Warriors, I don't want to say greatest rival, but most consistent rival. That would be Ravishing Rick Rude.
That is correct. And that's also a match in the showcase mode of WWE 2K24 this year.
Speaking of WWE 2K24 this year, are you having fun playing it so far?
I think it's the best 2K game so far. Like the best WWE 2K game so far.
Do you feel like we say that every year that a new one comes out? It just gets better every year. Like I know 20 was rough, so like let's discount 20. But I feel like we say that every year. They find a way to make it better.
Kind of. I think 23 was disappointing. I didn't have a lot of fun with 23.
Okay.
And 22 was okay. I remember, like, my favorite, I think, is like 2019. That was the one with AJ on the cover.
Yeah, Rollins was 18 and AJ was 19. Yeah. Yes.
2019 was really good, and 2015 with Cena on the cover.
Yes.
Those are the two that really stick out to me. But 24, man, I can't tell you how many times I've done the special guest referee match and the casket match. They're so much fun. They are so much fun to play.
That's great. I haven't tried either of those yet, but me and Katie talked about having you over one night, and she's going to be the referee of the match between us as we're playing the game, and she's gonna be the referee. Can we do that? That would be great. That would be
awesome.
Certainly open to that idea. All right, before we move into some more trivia questions, I want to let you guys know that our Pro Wrestling Tees store is active as of this morning. ProWrestlingTees.com/squared circle radio, spelled all the way out. Go check it out. We have 2 shirts up there so far, more to come, but active as of this morning. And then we will work on, in the coming weeks, getting a little QR code for you that's on the screen. All you got to do is scan it and you'll go straight to it. But ProWrestlingTees.com/squared circle radio. Go support us. We would appreciate it very much. Buy a t-shirt. And then when you do, take a picture of yourself, tag us on social media at @SQCircle_radio. Post it, all the things. We would appreciate that very, very much. Andy, Friday night on SmackDown, man, the WrestleMania Night 1 main event is set. The biggest tag team match, arguably, of all time. The Rock and Roman Reigns official taking on Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Man, it was a bunch of pomp and circumstance. Rock got a new entrance. It was a wild time. They almost ran out of time.
Yeah.
Just overall thoughts on this segment.
Yeah, it was over the top in the best way possible.
It was. That's true.
It was over the top and dramatic. I really love Rock's new entrance. I think that's a great way to use the LED boards that nobody's really done yet.
Yep.
And so it was really cool to see that. I wish they would have spaced some stuff out a little better. I think timing was a big issue.
Yes.
And I gotta be honest with you. Part of that is because The Rock repeats himself so much in these promos now.
He does. Yeah,
like
true.
So much. Like I get it. You're trying to do your thing. And like he had a couple of really good one-liners, but there's also a time like you've said the same thing 3 times in a row now. Like I think you're just stalling to get to your next point because you forgot what you're getting ready to say.
And
so
let's
just kind of spit it out.
And that's probably accurate, man. If I'm being honest, like Rock hasn't done this in a while, so
no.
Rock's having to reacclimate himself with the WWE way and cutting heel promos, because depends on what you believe, if they pivoted or if they didn't. Maybe he wasn't expecting to come and be a heel on this run. Who knows? I don't know. Just so I think you're right. I think that can have a lot to do with it. I mean, my goodness, I know you don't want to put this at the front of the show because of how big it is, and I know you don't want to make it the whole last hour of the show. But, man, cut something. These guys are good enough to improv if they need 5 extra minutes. It'll be fine. Just give these guys more time.
Well, you knew the entrance was going to take a whole segment anyway. So I don't know why we didn't space that out a little bit more. I'll say this. The person that looked the best coming out of that whole segment, to me, was Seth.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, when he dropped the diarrhea Dwayne on Monday, I literally went, oh, he's about to get killed on Friday.
Yep.
Like Rock is going to eat him alive. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the diarrhea chant broke from nowhere.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, that's awesome. That's fine. And then he hit him with that Mr. Midlife Crisis line, and I lost it. I was like, okay, Seth, when Seth takes something seriously, like I love his goofy character all the time too. Like it's funny.
Yep.
But when he gets serious and when he gets mad and when he starts cutting these impassioned promos like he did Friday and like he did tonight on Raw, he's awesome. Like he's really, really good. And I wish we got that more often than we do because it works so well for him.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he definitely, I feel like everybody, I think you're right, everybody came out looking great in this segment, but Seth really, you could tell that like the promo was going a certain way and the fans felt it going a certain way, and then Seth literally just flipped it on its head, and just completely changed the whole dynamic of the promo. So I thought that was fantastic. Cody saying since the kickoff press conference that he was going to hit Rock back, and he did. I'm just glad they got it on camera, bro, because it was so close. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, I thought we were having another Sting moment there for a minute of like, we're right out of time. We got to do something. I don't know if you've seen the video of that a fan took from the hard cam side.
Yes.
Where you could see the camera guys like this to the Rock of like, come on, buddy. We gotta hurry. We gotta get to the slap.
Waving their arms like dummies and just all the things. Whatever you got to do to get their attention, I guess. But it works. They got it, and now I don't know what was supposed to come after that. I don't know if we missed something or whatever. I can't imagine though that it was more impactful than how we ended the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the most we would have got is just another stare down and promos without the mic, talking back and forth to each other. I think that's kind of it. I will say this: after the Friday night and after tonight, and I'm probably going to eat my words in 4 weeks now.
Yep,
4 weeks time.
Yep.
My lock of WrestleMania is Cody winning. Because we are not going back down the AEW route. Because Rock specifically said in the promo If you lose, I'll make sure you never get a shot at this title again. So that I'm probably going to eat my words, but as of right now, I may change my mind. I may not become as gutsy, but I don't see a scenario that works out well for WWE if Cody does not walk out with the championship.
I'm not ready to make that lock yet. Because I very clearly see a scenario where that doesn't happen. I'll say this, though. I lean heavily towards Cody winning at this point. Like, I feel like he has. I don't want to say it's a lost cause if he doesn't win. Because, again, I see a path where it can work if he doesn't win. But I'm telling you, my booking scenario, the way that I've thought it the whole time, is Rock and Roman win night 1. Somehow, some way, Cody Rhodes, with all the adversity, wins in night 2, with all the bloodline coming at him, blah, 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 whatever. Maybe he has help, maybe he doesn't. Probably doesn't. Who knows? Cody ends up winning, and then Rock is disappointed in Roman because Rock handed Cody to him on a silver platter and he couldn't get it done. And that's the story we tell after WrestleMania.
Because that could build to Rock Cody at SummerSlam.
I was going to say that. We need Rock Cody. We need Rock Seth at some point.
We do. But I think we get Rock Cody at SummerSlam because, let's be real honest, if Roman loses the title at Mania, he's going to take some time off. He's not going to be around for a while. I think you can do Rock Cody at SummerSlam and then have Roman cost Rock at SummerSlam to head to WrestleMania.
I think we probably get another Roman match at Backlash. I think we get Roman Cody rematch.
Roman Cody 3?
Yes. I think we get Roman Cody rematch at Backlash where Cody wins. But I think Saudi show, which we learned this week, is Memorial Day weekend, if I'm not mistaken, or according to Meltzer. Let's not take him at his word. But that Saudi show, maybe we get Seth Rock at that Saudi show. We get Cody Rock at SummerSlam, so that way we get them all in there.
My only concern about doing, I guess that'll be fine because I don't think Seth will have the title then. So I think it won't be for a title. It'll just be them two going at it and Seth probably eating the pin.
Or you could have it for the title with as much smack as Rock has been talking about that title that he's going to make it go away, and then you have Seth beat him.
Are you just going to unify the titles at SummerSlam, though?
No.
If you do Rock Cody?
No, because I don't think Rock beats Seth in that scenario.
I think you could put, if you want Rock to be world champ and you want Cody to be world champ, don't do Rock Cody until Survivor Series.
Yeah. That's true.
Champion versus champion.
That's
Rock
true.
His debut, everything, like every Madison Square Garden is the rumor that it could be in. I mean, all of it kind of coming full circle, doing Cody Rock not title for title, but champion versus champion.
Sure.
And Cody being like, nope, we are a royal family too, and we do that by beating you at your top, at your highest. I could see that.
Lots of different scenarios we could go, man. It's wide open, and that's the beauty of this whole thing is like, we don't know what was a pivot, what was not. We don't know what the original plan, what was not. We don't know where we're going. We don't know how this thing's going to wrap up. But that's what makes the road to WrestleMania so interesting, man. That's what makes it so captivating, especially right now under this Triple H regime. It's fantastic. It really is can't miss TV.
Yeah. I mean, there have been WrestleManias where the 5-week build, the 6-week build, however long it's been, has felt really long and not that great.
Yes.
I mean, I think Roman Brock, WrestleMania 38, the build was not that great.
Right.
Or, I mean, honestly, just put Roman and Brock and the build, and it's every WrestleMania they've ever had the build has not been that great.
Touche. That is correct.
So,
you know what? I don't know. There was one Raw leading up to the New Orleans WrestleMania, the one where Roman got handcuffed and Brock came out and just beat the snot out of him, when he was handcuffed. That was pretty cool. Not gonna lie, that was cool.
It had moments. But for every moment like that, then you have the WrestleMania 31, literally the show before WrestleMania 31, where they're playing tug of war with the WWE Championship in the middle of the ring, and it's like these two guys are supposed to be killers, and this is what they're playing tug of war in the ring right now. That's really what we're doing. So I think there's been a lot of WrestleManias where the build hasn't been great.
Yep.
But there's also been a lot of WrestleManias where the build has been almost perfect. I haven't lived through every WrestleMania build, so I don't know if I have the credibility to say this. But at least in my lifetime, as of right now, this is one of the best. And it's between this and it's between Taker Michaels 2.
Yes.
Going into the streak versus retirement. That build, the whole from Rumble to WrestleMania, that whole thing was awesome.
Yep. It was very cool.
And this one has kind of been the same way.
The build to the first Taker Michaels at 25 was really good too.
Yeah.
And then I know the match didn't get what we wanted. I know that main event didn't pay off like everybody wanted, but that Triple H Randy Orton build to 25 was incredible.
The build was great.
Such a good build. Man.
Yeah.
Going into Orton's house and all that, just wow.
But I think the thing that makes 25 and 26 so special is the builds were great, but the matches were legendary.
Right.
So I think that really plays into it as well.
Hopefully we get 2 legendary matches this year at WrestleMania 40, Night 1 and Night 2. We're going to have all the coverage for you right here wherever you find your podcast. So hit that subscribe button, follow if you haven't already, and then make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Click the notifications bell. That way, every time we upload a new video, you find out about it. You can go check it out. Like the video while you're there. We would appreciate that very much. Also, if you're not following us on social media, please do that at SQCircle_radio. All right, Andy, let's fire up one more round of WrestleMania trivia before we call this episode quits. Give us 5 or 6 more. What do you got?
All right, let's go back to the first WrestleMania.
Oh boy.
Okay. We just talked about him with his trilogy with Flair, and obviously his match with Macho Man is legendary, one of the best WrestleMania matches of all time, depending on who you're talking to.
Yes.
But Ricky the Dragon Steamboat defeated Doink the Clown, okay? But he was not called Doink the Clown at this time. What was his name?
His real name is Matt Bourne.
That is correct.
No kin to
Evan Bourne.
No kin to Evan Bourne or Jason Bourne for that matter.
There you go. Yeah. I'm trying to find one that'll like stump you, but I think I've already done that one with the Paul Orndorff one.
That one was rough.
We'll talk about your boy. We'll talk about your favorite person in the world.
Oh no.
Let's talk about Dave Meltzer.
Oh.
All right. So we don't really talk about Dave Meltzer a whole lot unless Chris is dogging on him. We don't talk about the PWI a whole lot unless Chris is dogging on it.
Amen to that.
There was a match from WrestleMania 10 that won both the PWI Match of the Year and the Wrestling Observer Match of the Year. Which match was it? And I'll give you 4 options.
Okay.
Was it Bret Hart versus Owen Hart? Was it Randy Savage versus Crush?
No.
Shawn Michaels versus Razor Ramon? Or Bret Hart versus Yokozuna?
No. I hate to give Dave credit, but I think the answer is Shawn versus Razor.
That is correct.
Yeah!
Although I will say, Bret Hart versus Owen Hart is
just
fantastic.
Just amazing. Just absolutely amazing. And Shawn Razor wouldn't have won half the awards that it did if it didn't go the extra 10 to 15 minutes that it did.
Right, yeah.
A match got cut because of that.
Probably worked out. Anyways,
It was a 10-man tag with 1, 2, 3 Kid, Bob Holly, Jeff Jarrett, and a bunch of other people.
Yeah, nobody wants to see that.
Nah.
So, all right, let's go back to WrestleMania III, where the Junkyard Dog competed in a loser must bow match against what former NWA World Champion?
Don't even have to give me the choices. That one's Harley Race.
That is correct. At the first WrestleMania, which we talked about them earlier.
Okay.
But the U.S. Express.
Oh, yeah.
Lost the WWF Tag Team titles. Who did they lose to?
Oh, my gosh. $1985 tag team titles. Man, I get a hint at all?
I'm trying to think how to give you a good hint without giving it away. I'll say this. One of the guys became one of the most fun people to follow on Twitter.
Okay, so that's Sheiky, baby. Okay.
Okay.
So the Iron Sheik. Who did the Iron Sheik? Man, I'm clueless. I have no idea.
So it was the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov.
Wow. Okay. Yep. Would not have gotten that one. No way. All right. Let's do one more. Put it out on a high note.
All right. So a lot of people's first loss came at WrestleMania, right? We look at Asuka losing to Charlotte. That was her first ever loss. Warrior losing to Rude.
Yep.
Taker losing to Lesnar at WrestleMania. A lot of things like that have happened.
Yep.
But at WrestleMania VI, it famously featured Mr. Perfect's first loss in the WWF. Who defeated him at that event?
Oh, anybody that listens to Something to Wrestle With, namely Jared, who is not with us tonight. He's a little under the weather. But anybody that listens to that podcast knows this person by the initials BTFBB. But his name is Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
That is correct.
Oh, man, that's hilarious. Good stuff. All right, we're going to keep doing a lot of that trivia as we get closer to WrestleMania. Again, we divided it up. So that was 1 through 10. We're going to do 11 through 20. I can't guarantee that it'll be next week, but it'll be sometime over the next 4 weeks. We're going to do 11 through 20. We're going to do 21 through 30, and then 31 through 40. We're going to have some special guests help us out on a lot of those. Andy, before we get out of here, we've talked a whole lot of WWE, but there is some big AEW news looming this week that we will not, we'll obviously be able to react to once it happens, but let's go ahead and get out ahead of it right now. Sasha Banks, aka Mercedes Mone, impending debut this Wednesday on AEW Big Business, the special edition of Dynamite. It just, man, it seemed like it was absolutely happening before. And then I saw on social media that Willow Nightingale is having a match on the show.
Yeah.
It's absolutely happening. Like, there's no way around it.
No, it was one of those where it kind of reminds me of the first CM Punk return.
Yeah.
At Rampage, because it's not a surprise, but it is a surprise at the same time. And it's obvious for every reason possible, because it's going to be a thing that a lot of people were talking about, Mercedes being in AEW back on American TV for the first time since she left WWE.
Yep.
And so I'm very, very excited for it. I know where my eyes are going to be Wednesday night watching it, because I was watching this past Wednesday when someone else showed up, which if we don't talk about here, we'll talk about in our other segment we're getting ready to do.
We'll leave it for that segment.
Yeah, but I'm very excited for it. I think she is the missing part of the AEW women's roster that they need right now. that they need a big name who can come in and immediately not make the division credible, because I think the division is starting to get more credible with Tony Storm and with Deonna Purrazzo and with Mariah May and with Julia Hart, who's doing fantastic stuff right now too. Chris Statlander. There's a lot. They're doing a great job of starting to build that division back up. But I mean, when you add someone like Mercedes Moné into the mix, it automatically makes your division feel 10 times bigger because she's a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree on all those points that they need a big fish. They need a big name. They need someone that they could market the division around. And they thought they had that in Saraya, and then that didn't quite work out the way that they had hoped. Because she had the big pomp and circumstance coming in. Now, the difference between Mercedes and Saraya is that Mercedes can back it up in the ring. I'm not saying Saraya can't, because, there
was a day when she could.
There was a day when she absolutely could. But if you're looking for bell to bell, like, I think Mercedes Moné, formerly known as Sasha Banks, is the best female wrestler of all time. I'll go on record and say that right now.
I completely agree.
Bell to bell, she's the best. And I love Trish Stratus. I think she's one of the greatest women wrestlers of all time. Not necessarily like skill, but as the overall package. Lita was fantastic. As much as Andy, as we hate it, Charlotte Flair. I mean, we can just sit here
Phoenix.
And Beth Phoenix. We can rattle off all these names, but Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, is at the top of the list. And I don't necessarily like her going into the AEW waters because the division is so unproven. I feel like I know she can bring the level of competition up, but I'm just concerned that she's not going to get brought up at the same time. Like, I feel like she's going to do a lot of helping everybody, but not helping herself.
Yeah, I kind of get that, and I can see where that could happen, but I think she's the kind of person where, I mean, as soon as she walks in, the rest of the roster has to be better. Otherwise, they're not going to get anything.
That's a good point.
They're not going to get any TV time. They're not going to come up to her level. And so I think obviously, I think the money match for probably All In is maybe her and Britt.
Yep.
Or possibly her and Jamie Hayter, depending on when Hayter gets back from injury. Because Jamie Hayter being the hometown girl, I think that'd be a great full circle moment for that.
That's true.
But I think when you put her in there with Tony Storm, they're going to absolutely tear the house down when the bell rings. I think when, if we get her in Thunder Rosa, that's another one that would be a lot of fun, because that's two really big personalities and two really big egos in the ring together. And we see when that happens in AEW. Backstage, it may not be great, but boy, is it entertaining. And so I'm banking on that happening at some point.
That is very true. Speaking of Mercedes, and she hasn't really done a whole lot of interviews, at least American interviews, since she left WWE. She did an appearance on the Kick Rocks Wrestling podcast this past week, hosted by my buddy Evan Mack, who used to be a co-host on The Bump. I graduated with him at the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting through Full Sail University. He got that exclusive interview. I texted him, job well done by Mr. Evan Mack. So if you're listening, congratulations, dude. Fantastic interview. But the main thing that I pulled from that interview was her saying she will be back in WWE. It might not be now, but she will be back.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, I think we all knew that she would go back one day, like a Cody Rhodes now, like a Drew McIntyre.
Yep.
Even kind of to an extent like a CM Punk, because they both they all left, and like Drew got fired. Cody was probably going to get fired at some point down the line or released, and so he kind of left on his own. Yep. But like Punk left with backstage issues.
They all sort of left in the middle of the night, so to speak.
Correct. Yeah. But they've all since then have come back, and not only come back, but come back bigger than maybe not Punk. Punk was probably the same when he left as he is when he comes back in. But I think Sasha Mercedes, when she comes back in, is just right to the top.
I think Punk's bigger now than he was then.
I don't know if he's bigger.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that this is the thing, like, we never thought we would see Punk in a WWE ring ever again.
And naturally, that's what makes him bigger. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't think it's that he's bigger. I just think it's like, oh my gosh, this is actually happening.
Right.
Like,
for sure.
He's standing in a ring.
Right. For sure. All right. As we get ready to wrap this show up, thank you guys for being tuned in. Again, if you haven't already, please like the video on the YouTube channel and follow us wherever you find your podcast. As we wrap up, we got one more segment. It is our 3-count segment where we give you the good, the bad, and the indifferent, what we thought in an overall perspective of the wrestling business this week. Andy, you alluded to your good. I will let you go first. Your good, your bad, your indifferent.
Yeah, so my good is the debut of Kazuchika Okada in AEW, and the way it went down was absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. Him coming in after the Bucks are beating down on Eddie Kingston, after they've cut this whole promo, after they've just suspended Paige for beating up 2 referees, and they kick Kenny out of the Elite. And they're cutting this promo. Eddie Kingston comes down, gets in their face. They start to beat him down. The coin drops and the place goes nuts.
Yep.
And here comes Okada in a suit and tie and everything else down to the ring like he's going to help Eddie. And then he turns on Eddie and is now a part of the Elite. Yep. I don't know if you heard this or not, but before their match on Collision, I think it was, or on Rampage, one of the two, the way they announced it was the Young Bucks said it was going to be Matthew Jackson, Nicholas Jackson, and Okada Jackson versus whoever. So he is officially a part of the Elite, and I could not be happier about it. Funny. I think it's such a great way to bring him in and subvert a lot of the issues they would probably have as him coming in as a babyface.
Sure.
Just immediately turning him heel, and it worked perfectly.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, that's great. His, much like Mercedes, his debut was, the writing was all on the wall. It just had to happen. I think that's hilarious.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, it was awesome.
You're bad?
Oh, I don't know about my bad. I'll give my bad kind of. SmackDown was awesome because of the segment and everything.
Yep. But
a 2-hour show, we only got like 40-ish, if that, minutes of wrestling on a wrestling show is kind of annoying. Like it's a little annoying. I get why they did it because The Rock's on, and Lord knows everybody's stuff is going to get cut when The Rock's on TV.
Good point.
But we needed something more than what we got wrestling wise, I think.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't think it was too bad. I didn't really notice because you had that blockbuster tag team match to start the show with that incredible pop-up RKO spot. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I didn't really notice the lack of wrestling, but I get your point.
And I'll throw in a little caveat on top as well. The Prime Bottle sponsorship better be a work.
Yes, I agree.
Because holy cow, that's horrible there.
Yep. That is not good. It has to be a work. It has to be something ridiculous. I agree. All right. What are you still holding out hope on?
Actually just happened on Raw. And that is Candice LeRae somewhat turning heel, by berating Maxine Dupree. Obviously, if you've been online anytime the last week, 2 weeks, you saw the whole thing of her getting heckled and wrestling people stepping up for and everything else. Well, they've turned it into a storyline, which I think it's a great way to sort of get her over in the same way. But the one thing that I'm always iffy on is when they bring up some stuff that I don't know if they should bring up or not. And when she looked at her and said, "It's a good thing your brother is dead. Otherwise he'd see what an embarrassment you are." And it's like, oh, that's a line. I don't know how I feel about that yet. So we'll see how it plays out, but whew, buddy, that's a line.
Yeah, it really is. I listened to Maxine's interview on Chris Van Vliet's podcast this past week, which that's a podcast we don't bring up enough on this show. If you're not a listener,
awesome.
If you're not a listener of CVV, His interviews are absolutely top notch. Go listen to his stuff. It's great.
Yeah.
But I listened to her on the show and talking about her brother and that's quite interesting. I'm a little indifferent on that as well. My indifferent though that I'm going to go with, and then I'll work backwards. My indifferent is the flirtation of Andrade with the Judgment Day. I could see where it could go good, especially if there's some sort of dissension or disintegration of the Judgment Day after WrestleMania and Andrade picks up the pieces. I could see that. But aside from that, like, I don't know how he fits into all of that. I feel like we're getting to a point of too many cooks in the kitchen, so to speak, with Balor and with Priest and with Rhea, and Dom's become his own thing or whatever. So it's working. I don't mind him flirting with it, but I don't know how it's going to go yet. My bad is actually happening on Monday Night Raw right now, and I just think this gauntlet match for a shot at Gunther is unnecessary. Like, all of these guys that are in the match, with the exception of JD McDonough, I don't know why JD McDonough is in this match. He literally makes no sense whatsoever. But having said that, all the guys that are in the match deserve to be on the WrestleMania card anyway. Just making them all. I know they announced the tag team multi-man ladder match or whatever, but like, for this Intercontinental stuff, just put them all on the show. Have a banger of a match and put it on WrestleMania. That's what I think. All right. Am I good? Is Seth Rollins being cleared? That dude sprinting to the ring last week at full sprint. My jaw literally hit the floor. I was like, let's go. Like, I'm super pumped. That was a huge worry of ours leading into WrestleMania season and what was going to happen and all that. And he said he was going to be good to go. He's good to go. I'm pumped. And then as we get ready to close up, shout out to WWE. 100 million subscribers on their YouTube channel, the 10th largest channel in all of YouTube, and it's the largest sports channel, more subs than the NBA, NFL, NHL, and MLB combined. Listen, Andy, wrestling is on fire, and that proves it right there.
Yeah, I mean, they've said it I think tonight was their 5th straight TV for Raw that the building was completely sold out.
Jeez.
So that's crazy that they're at this point. It shows that wrestling is at its peak right now. Because there's always a time right after WrestleMania where it starts to go down just a little bit. But going into WrestleMania, this is the hottest I think I've ever felt. Not even just WWE. I think wrestling in a whole right now, it's the hottest it's felt in a long time. And I think there was a dark cloud over WWE for a long time because of things that we are not going to talk about on this podcast.
That's right.
But it's starting to seem like we are turning the corner on that as a product wise. And it's starting to work really well. And then on the other side, I think Revolution was a new era for AEW that they're starting to turn into. That it's Dynamite was awesome this week. And so I'm really excited to see where we go from there with it as well. So wrestling is just on the up and up, and I couldn't be happier about it. Now, if Cody loses at WrestleMania, then boy, I don't know how I'm going to feel.
But you gave the lock. That's your lock. It's going to happen.
I said it's almost my lock. It's almost my lock. I'm not saying it was my lock.
I think we need to rewind this. I think you said it's your lock. Okay. Well, anyway, listen. Whatever happens, we're going to be here to talk about it clearly. The good, the bad, the ugly, whatever. So keep it tuned in right here for SportsWire Radio, our exclusive partners. If you're listening over there, make sure you're tuned in. SportsWireRadio.org is where you listen live. They play our show all the time. Shout out to Tom and the crew over there. And make sure that you are subscribed wherever you find your podcast. Make sure that you like the video on the YouTube channel. Subscribe on the YouTube channel as well. That helps us so much. ProWrestlingTees.com/Squared Circle Radio is up. It's live. Go support our show. There's a logo shirt up there. There's a head-to-head trivia show shirt up there. Go pick up one of those. And then we're going to get some MCWF stuff up there. It's going to be some great t-shirts. Speaking of MCWF, week 7 is coming this Thursday. And Andy, both shows are main evented by world title matches. It doesn't get much better than that in the fantasy booking world.
No, it does not. And they're not only are they world title matches, but they're world title matches by 3 Hall of Famers and a future Hall of Famer.
That's true.
And it's going to be great.
That is
I think technically 2 Hall of Famers and 2 future Hall of Famers.
Yes, okay, Roman is technically not a Hall of Famer. That is true. But
Randy's not either.
That's true. Kevin Owens is not either. 1 Hall of Famer, 3 future Hall of Famers.
Yeah. I don't know. I was thinking that. Yeah.
Regardless.
They're Hall of Famers. Let's just be real honest. They're all Hall of Famers.
Regardless, it's good, ladies and gentlemen. Go check it out. Our buddy Tyler Peters helps us out a whole lot on that show. It is so much fun. It's unlike this show in every sense of the word. So go check it out. It is so much fun. Make sure you're subscribed. Again, wherever you find your podcast, make sure you're following us at SQ_radio. I am at Chris Belcher 24. Andy is at Andy_SQR. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Andy, man, anything else to add before we sign off tonight?
No, just another fun week of wrestling, and can't wait to do it again next week, talk about it, and see what else happens on this road to WrestleMania.
Road to WrestleMania is live. It is rocking. It is rolling. Keep it tuned in right here. We will have shows, special guests. We will have you covered with everything you need. For Mr. Andy York, Jared Justice, who couldn't be with us tonight, my name is Chris Belcher. This has been Head to Head Trivia, brought to you by Squared Circle Radio, and we will catch you down the road.